Welcome to another episode of The Secret Sauce. Today we are sitting down with Daryl Bauer, fabulous professional with the RE/MAX Advantage Plus real estate brand. Nice to have you with us today.
Thanks for having me.
Excited to talk to you and learn a little bit more about all those special things you do for your role in real estate.
Likewise, I'm happy to share. You know, they say teamwork makes the dream work, so I love contributing to RE/MAX Advantage Plus and trademark title. It's been a fabulous move. I've been over here for about 4 years, going on my 5th year now. So it's been awesome.
So let's start with when did you get into real estate, and how long have you actually been in that real estate?
Oh gosh, I got into real estate and it was 2014. So I'm in my going on 11 years.
Oh my gosh.
So I was self-employed for a number of years. I was kind of tied into the steel business world, tied in with like commercial construction, steel business. So, we went through a pretty turbulent time, beginning like 06, 07. The real estate world was falling apart. A lot of the commercial world was falling apart. So I went through a really turbulent time through that era, and I just kind of got to a certain point. Once it got to like 2013, I said, I'm going to follow my dream and get my real estate license. And it's been a great fit. Everything I'd done in my life up to that point felt like I was being prepared for what was next. And
that's awesome.
Jumped in 2014, got my real estate license, and it really just kind of was a rocket ship, especially once I hit my 3rd year in the business. It was like a rocket ship, and no looking back.
What do you think is one of maybe the biggest factors that has helped you be as successful as you have been?
Knowing what my shortcomings and shortfalls are. Had I ever intended on doing 100+ transactions a year, that was probably never my goal from the get-go. But I did know that I'm not an administrative person. I like to be out and working, with buyers and with sellers, and I like the interaction that I have with them.
The people connection.
I hate paperwork. I hate compliance. People, why aren't you a broker? Because I suck at it. So that's where it's great being with a company like RE/MAX Advantage Plus, because what Eric does there is just sets the stage for the professionals to come in and do what they do best. But so I realized early on that I'm not an administrative person. So Chris Dublin is my assistant. And year 3, Chris, who had been at the front desk of my office for over 20 years, she also grew up, her dad was a broker in Faribault as well. So she'd literally been around real estate her entire life.
Wow. She
knows more about real estate than I do. I'm still learning from her. But I just asked her, I'm like, would you rather work with 35 agents or 1? And so I brought her on, and year 3 we went from, I think it was 32 transactions instantly to like 100.
Wow.
And so we've been kind of hovering around that 88 to 100. Our team does about 120, 130, I think, all together as a team.
Which is incredible. Holy buckets.
And she's the one. I mean, she's the one that really kind of rocketed it off. And that'd be my biggest advice, I guess, to other people is, understand what your shortcomings are. Don't hire another person exactly like yourself. Hire for a person that's the opposite of you. Like, she would hate going out selling houses. She would never. That's not something that she'd be good at. So it's been like the perfect fit. And even realtors on my team, it's like, I don't want to have 10 Daryls out there running around. I want to have people that meet other different walks of life.
Speaking of kind of the way you the places you want to be in and be making an impact, what are some of your success habits that keep you in that mindset, in that mode? Even like if you feel like, oh, I don't know how to handle this today, kind of thing. What are some of those success habits that just kind of keep you going?
Oh gosh, I'm not exactly sure what the habit is because I haven't like totally identified it. I'm kind of like in the middle of that right now.
Okay.
You know, just with, I end up having this conversation with my assistant Chris every time, or every year about this time of year. It's like, do we laugh or do we cry? Sometimes we do both. And I think what it is sometimes you just need to vent to the people around you. You need to surround yourself with good people. There's a saying out there, you know, you're the sum of, you know, the seven closest people around you. Yeah. I think that's a Zig Ziglar thing. But, you know, you just gotta have those trusted people around you, I guess, to vent. And, you know, if Chris is off for a few days, you know, it's like, I do my very best to, like, you know, keep things going, but it's not the same. You know, and so I can do my very best, and sometimes I fall short, and you know, and so it's the people I've surrounded myself with. So it's like comes down to, I guess, knowing your limitations again as well.
Yeah.
And then you know, with some of this recent flooding, I've got over a dozen clients, current and past, where their houses are underwater. You know, I had a gentleman 2 days ago, I helped him on a transaction 2 years ago, and it was just a full out cry. You know, so it's like, it's beyond being a realtor sometimes. It's
for sure.
It's the friendship, are we psychiatrists and doctors and stuff like that too, but I mean, what an honor to have, you know, this person, you know, they've got their entire life savings, paid cash for a house, so on and so forth, and weren't allowed to buy flood insurance because they weren't in a floodplain, and yet the water is like over their stove in their house. And you know, so we get to not only laugh with people at the closing table, but we get to cry with them 2 years later when floods happen, or deaths happen, or divorces happen, stuff like that. So
yeah, it's a pretty emotional business to be in when you're dealing with that much stuff, you know, and to just try to maneuver through that and help people. I mean, you are, you know, just by the things that I see that you post on social and stuff about all the flooding that's happening right now in Minnesota, and just worried, you know, genuinely worried about those people and sharing information that can help them. I mean, that's just such a huge thing. Even for people outwardly to see, not only to send information to people that can jump in and help, but to have that thought to do that, you know, because sometimes you can get caught up in, like you said, sometimes you're just caught up in the day and you're, you know, thinking of what do I have to do, but you know, to kind of look beyond ourselves and see that. I think that's great. What was maybe one of the hardest decisions that you've ever had to make either in your role or in your life, or just what was a hard decision that you had to make that maybe impacted?
Oh my gosh. Well, I've had some hard things in life. I don't necessarily say it was like a hard decision. You know, we spoke a little bit off camera a little bit before about, you know, things that need to change in your life sometimes. And so, you know, I'll kind of bare my soul a little bit. I was at a point in my life where I enjoyed a few too many drinks at the end of the day after work. You know, and I was using that to shut down from the crazy business that I was going through. And that was just kind of my way of shutting down. And, you know, you get home, the business day's done, and you just kind of, you know, let go. And it controlled my life for about 4 years of my life, 4 or 5 years of my life. And, you know, it was just a very unique set of circumstances that, you know, kind of jerked me back into into who I was. That wasn't me. That was what was happening to me, or had, you know, I allowed to happen with me. And, you know, so the best thing in my life was to, you know, set that drinking part of my life aside. My life is way better without it. I wake up, I have a clear mind every day, you know, and I feel like I'm back, like my personality is completely back, and I feel like I've got control of my life again. And so it's only been about a year and a half. So, but it's
That's
just,
amazing.
I had a support group around me that kept me floating.
So important.
I had this support group, all these people like Chris and my other agents and all this other stuff, and most people didn't even know that was happening in my life. But to me, I just kind of felt myself withering away inside. But like I said, there's just kind of that one person that made a huge impact on me, that it went off like a light bulb, and I haven't even thought about going back. And it's been amazing. So, you talk about having an impact on other people, just certain things that you can say or do to somebody in their life. We have no idea the impact that we're making on people's lives. So,
well, I appreciate you opening up about that, because I think the more we can talk about that authentically and sharing our experience like that, it does impact so many people. There's so many people that it's hard for them to talk about, right? But if they hear someone that they respect or see around them, or that's doing the same business that they are, they can feel like they can maybe step into some things that will make differences for them, whether it be drinking or something else, know?
Yeah.
So, no, thank you. That was,
thanks,
awesome. Thank you for sharing that. We'll switch gears a little bit here.
Sure.
What mistakes do you feel, or maybe one mistake you feel that you made along the way here that maybe changed a trajectory for you, or?
Oh gosh.
I know we've all had a million. It's like, it's part of life, right?
Well, this is a business too, sometimes where it's easy to get emotional. I'm a feeler. I take things personally sometimes, and you burn bridges along the way sometimes. And sometimes you choose wisely, and sometimes you don't choose wisely. So I get emotional sometimes, and I'm there fighting for my clients, and there's lots of different personalities and characters in this business, and I've lost my cool in the past. I think we all have to a certain point, and so my biggest regrets or mistakes or anything like that is I've burned a couple bridges, and they weren't, I'm not going to say terribly important ones or anything like that, but I've also prided myself on, no matter what situation, if I'm going to pass these people on the street, I want to have a good relationship with them. So even those bridges that I may have burned, I try to go back and rectify them, and because that's not who I am.
Right.
I'm not a bridge burner by nature at all.
Right.
Whatsoever.
Well, and when you're as passionate, I would call it passionate, not emotional.
Yeah.
I would say when you're very passionate about what you do, it means so much to you to make that impact and help people.
Yeah.
That it's easy to see how things can, that passion can kind of cloud judgment in certain pieces, but like you said, you try to go back and learn from it and make amends for whatever.
Well, it comes down to honesty, and it's like when we do our very best to do the right thing, and then something comes up when that comes into question, and that's kind of when I lose it a little bit, is when somebody says that I'm not doing the right thing, and it's like you go overboard to do the right thing, and then the opposite comes at you. So again, it happens all the time in this business. I'm sure it happens in title. It happens.
Oh yes.
It happens everywhere too, and it's like, well, no, these are the rules, and this is how, and rules are rules, and anyway, that's one of those uncomfortable. It's always uncomfortable talking about mistakes, but
right.
So.
I always like to say, hey, I'm failing forward. I always learn from it. If I do something, if I do a misstep, if I, I don't like to linger on it too long, because otherwise I can kind of beat myself up about it, but it's like, I'm failing forward. I'm doing the best that I can, and my heart's in the right place, and I know that. I can't, prove that to anyone other than by my actions and my words. Daryl, what do you think is some of the best advice you could give someone as they're, either setting out on their career, where they feel like they want to go after this? What is something that you think somebody needs to really take those first steps, some advice on that?
Yeah, figure out what your goals are early on. I think a lot of times, you always hear about creating business plans and, this big, I need to do, create this plan and, be very precise and stuff like that. I don't think you need to be precise. I think what you need to do is you need to figure out what is your goal. Is your goal to build a big business and be wildly successful? And if that's the case, I think it's just as simple, whatever you write down sometimes just sticks. So just write down some certain goals. I'm not the guy that puts sticky notes on my mirror and does self-affirmations and, stuff like that, but I know, I knew where I wanted to go and what I wanted to do, and I just have that. I guess one of my mistakes, maybe early in my career, if you want to go back to mistakes a little bit, is I didn't necessarily communicate all of my goals with my family. So whatever your goals are, you need to communicate that with the loved ones around you, because I tell you what, real estate is different than any other business that I've been in. And all of a sudden, I was gone. I was out there chasing my dream, and I'm gone evenings and weekends, and I'm out there, just doing the good thing and helping everybody. And then I was kind of gone from my family, especially early on. And so, I had the discussion with my family about, hey, the first 2 years of any business are critical. The first 3 years are critical. So that's what I did. I went out and pounded it really hard, but I was gone and didn't necessarily communicate that with my family. So there was kind of that tension inside as well too. Sure. And so my advice is, if you're gonna go after it, then you need to communicate that. If you're not gonna go after it, communicate that. Because for some people, real estate is kind of a hobby. If I do 5 or 6 transactions a year and help out family, that's fine. But if you're the significant people around you, if they're expecting you to go out and knock it dead, then I guess it's just maybe communication with the loved ones around you. So
well, and it's so important to not only communicate, but to set those expectations.
Right.
So they're not thinking, oh, you're gonna be here at this time or whatever, and then you're not able to show up because of some conflict or whatever. I think just not setting those, not setting expectations for the impact you're gonna make around, especially those loved ones, when you're gonna go full bore into something or even part-time. It's always good to communicate and do that, always.
Well, what do they say? The definition of disappointment is unmet expectations.
Amen to that.
So, and I've read plenty of self-help over the years, so I pick up a little one, and that's just one that sticks with me. It's like, the definition of disappointment is unmet expectations. So whether that's with your family or your loved ones or a client, a buyer, a seller, whoever, it's like, let's define the expectations, and then, communication, I think, breaks down those.
Right, communication, oh my gosh, that's like the number one thing.
If I'm gonna suck at something, I'm gonna tell you that I'm gonna suck at it. If I'm really good at it, I'm gonna tell you I'm really good at it.
Exactly.
So, let's just get it all out there on the table.
Exactly, that authentic piece is so good, I love that. Well, it has been awesome sitting down with you today, getting to know a little bit more about you.
Oh, thanks.
And what you do. Yeah, well, thank you for making the time to join us. We really appreciate it, and best of luck to you and your team, and keep on building, because you guys are just knocking it out of the park and doing such a great job.
Thank you, Nancy. Yeah, those are good words coming from you, and I appreciate it. It's been getting to know you, get to know you a little bit more as we go here too.
Yeah, no, it's been fun. So
cool.
Anyways, thank you for joining us, and that, my friends, is the secret sauce.